Thanks for joining us for another For Investors by Investors Long Beach podcast. As always, we're proud to be your all-education real estate resource without any kind of sales pitch. If you'd like to attend one of our meetings in person, we meet on the last Thursday of the month at the Grand in Long Beach, California. You can RSVP on forinvestorsbyinvestors.com/Long Beach. To find more investment resources such as blogs and podcasts and content from other FIBI groups, you can go to forinvestorsbyinvestors.com and search our entire library. Now, on to the podcast.
This is meant to be a Q&A. I have questions that I've pre-written that I can ask Jay, but keep that in the whole goal here is this is set up for you guys to learn as much as you can from the man. He's taught me a ton, and so I really want to have you guys understand the value of what's coming to the table here. He's had a ton of experience, and I'm going to show you guys a video in a second to give you his intro. And so that being said, we don't make any money at these events. We pretty much break even. So we have some sponsors that we basically have for our group that I think add value, that are that really help substantially in real estate, that I've used substantially. The first one is Trillion Capital. Is anybody from Trillion here by any chance? Okay, nobody's here from them. They are a hard money lender company, and they lend capital in different areas of California. Hart King, Bill, Bill has helped me quite a bit with different contracts and legal contracts. He's an attorney, a real estate attorney, specializes. Can you tell a little bit about what you specialize in?
The firm is based in Orange County. We have 16 lawyers. Most of the firm specializes in putting together real estate transactions for owners, developers, managers, and major tenants. We also do a lot of litigation that's centered around real estate, representing folks who get sued or need to sue someone else arising out of a real estate transaction.
Great. Thank you, Bill.
Sure.
UDirect, Mr. Jeff, how's it going? Tell us what UDirect is.
We are a self-directed IRA company, and what we can help people do is show you how you can take your old 401ks or IRAs and invest them into assets like real estate. Basically everything that you're going to be talking about here tonight, your IRAs can invest into, and even if you don't necessarily have an IRA, people with IRAs can loan money to you to do your projects with as well. So there's a number of different ways to think about interacting with it. Self-directed is what you have to be able to specifically get set up to do that with.
Thank you, Jeff. I've actually used UDirect quite a bit for my own investing and my own investors, primarily because of their fee structure, and their administrative structure is really, really on point. And those are some of the things you want to look at when you're looking at a custodian, is all the fees they get charged, and how well they help their clients get through investments and things like that. So when you're looking for a custodian, look for those types of aspects. Concept 360. Where's Robin? Robin is a property management company based in Long Beach. Tell us a little bit about the properties you manage.
We manage single-family and multi-family properties in Long Beach and the South Bay. We do a little bit in North Orange County, but really most of our properties are here in Long Beach and the South Bay.
Awesome, thank you. And she's bringing a possible flip project. See, property managers can be amazing resources, so it's awesome. And then we have New Western Acquisitions. Anybody here from New Western today? Okay, New Western is a wholesaler company that wholesales properties throughout Southern California. So if you're looking for wholesale deals, you can take a look at them. Lastly, Christina. We have another chapter leader here from Pasadena. So, Christina, you want to tell us a little bit about your chapter?
Absolutely. So, actually, speaking of you, we have Karen Hall speaking at our next meeting in July. So, we're the third Thursday. Karen will be talking, obviously, about her favorite subject, which is, I just said so, I'm at FIBI Pasadena, third Thursday. We're literally in Courtyard by Marriott up by Old Town Pasadena. Open our doors at 6:30. We start doing networking at 7. I do a little blah, welcoming everybody to do some organized networking. Because in my world, the purpose of going to a meeting is two things: networking and education. So after the networking, we do education, and then we do more networking. So pretty much the format of our meeting. Come on up anytime, and thank you.
I love your club. It's amazing. So thank you for having me. The next just announcement is we are going to be bringing on a partner named Raymond Ty that is I don't know if he's here yet today, but he should be coming a little bit later on. We're actually going to be moving this club in September to Cerritos, about 15 minutes north of here. And it's going to be at the Cerritos Library, which at first I was like, wait a minute, a library? But this is the library, and it's absolutely beautiful. The whole thing is like a work of art. It's pretty amazing, and it's a great location. We wanted to find a place that was less traffic to get to at the bottom of the 405, and you know, right in the middle of the 405 and the 605 and the 710, and you know, I feel like Cerritos is a little bit better of a venue to be at. So we're going to be switching that up. That being said, let me give Jay's introduction here. As soon as I can close PowerPoint. And here is, I'm going to hold the mic to this. Hopefully it's loud enough, but we'll get there.
I'm in the moment.
I didn't know what to expect at first.
I'm motivated, I'm excited.
You're here. You're here. Just I hope you do have an empty notebook because it's going on good. Come on.
The moment I heard about it, I was like, I have to be there. And when he said, some of you might want to get your tickets, I got them.
Took a lot to get out here because East Coast, West Coast, time zone changes, flights, but all worth it.
If I were to set the scene for this weekend, we're in beautiful, sunny Southern California. We had a short-term rental mastermind summit.
What happens when the marketplace understands who we are and how we go out there?
Oh yes, why short-term rentals?
Real estate investing is the crown jewel of any portfolio. The short-term rental is where the real money's at.
The bottom line for me as to why short-term rentals is time. You know, you can't make more time. We're creating passive income and cash flow so that we can free ourselves up to do the things that we really, really want to be doing.
Immediately we saw the results. We still are wrapping our minds around how many people need this service and the fact that they're ready to pay a premium for it.
It's a 14-day reservation. It's $4,500.
So something that I learned early on as an entrepreneur is that you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. Everybody always has something amazing to contribute. And surrounding yourself with people like that really helps build the foundation pieces of your business. You don't have to do everything. That's the whole point of hiring a team.
Jay has created a space where we can actually be people and vulnerable.
I'm literally doing this by myself. Completely by myself. It's hard for me sometimes to know that I'm doing the right thing. So it was a lot of confirmations for me, which is great because I'm walking out of here with more confidence that I'm doing the right things.
I never want you to feel like you're being steered some way. I'm just trying to show you this is how, when you ask yourself, how does Jay do it? This is how.
We've been able to take action a lot faster just because the way Jay teaches things and the way that he does everything is very action-oriented.
He's always just taking himself to the next level, but then he's just a phenomenal teacher. He just gives and gives and gives.
Without having Jay part of our leadership and mentorship, we wouldn't be where we're at.
Have we driven the point home about not doing everything yourself yet?
What he's taught and what he kind of just puts out there is that this is better when all of us rise together. Like, it's not only him as the teacher anymore. Like, other people, as they learn things, they share.
We've just gathered so many new ideas and so much new great information. They may be spread all across the United States, but I know I have this support system that I can reach out to and say, look, I'm having these kind of issues. What do you guys suggest? And just encouragement to keep going and keep trying and keep moving forward.
This is the difference between working in your business and working on your business, is the systems and the team that you create.
Favorite part of the summit? That's hard.
Favorite thing this weekend?
Gosh, meeting Jay. After all these years,
we have a new family, which is absolutely exciting. The information I gathered, the friendships I've made,
The place, the people, the food, the energy, the connections, it's just everything was just great.
Yep, I agree.
Who in this room thinks it would be a good idea to do something like this multiple times in a year?
I can't wait till the next one. Make them believe.
We'll be there. We'll sign up now. Yeah, we'll be there.
Awesome. That was a really, I don't know if anybody knows how to edit videos, but that is not easy to do that. That was awesome. To do that kind of editing. Hey, Jay, come on up. Let's introduce you. But I got to give you, and honestly, you see Robert and Rebecca in the videos as well. You got to give both of them also a round of applause for what you guys have been able to accomplish. That's pretty awesome.
So, hi. How are you guys today? I like to do a number of things. I've been teaching real estate and real estate investing for a number of years. Cash Flow Diary as a company, we've created a lot of six-figure students. So much so we don't even talk about it anymore. When I first discovered short-term rentals, I told everyone in my database that, hey, this is going to be the strategy where we create our first seven-figure student. And, well, that was right. But what's more important to me right now is to really understand where you guys are more than what can I say and what can I share. Because I've done this particular type of talk so many times now that what happens is most of you, you've heard of, watch this. How many of you have heard of a small little company by the name of Airbnb? Okay, got it. How many of you have seen at least one article in the news about short-term rentals? Got it. So do you understand? It's not like it's a new thing. You probably have a ton of questions, and that's exactly what most people that I've learned when they're coming here, when they go, oh, there's somebody who knows such and such. I had this idea, maybe he can answer it for me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have the capacity to sit here and talk for a very long time and teach you how to do this from beginning to end, because that's kind of what I do every day. However, we don't have 6 hours, right? And that's just scratching the surface, because as you actually scale this thing, it's really important. So with that being said, one of the things that I want to do is because, how many of you have never ever seen me like in person before? Show me. Like, be honest. Never ever. No, higher. I want to see this. This is good. Oh, this is great. Okay, cool. For those of you who have seen me before, raise your hand. Do me a favor. Okay, cool. There's a few of you. There's less of you. Okay, that's good. Now, for those of you who have seen me before, what I want you to do by a show of applause and the amount of energy, and I know you just came through traffic and you're probably thinking about the NBA Finals. Oh. You're like, I wasn't until you said something. Anyway, by a round of applause and energy, give everyone an understanding of how much fun they're going to have tonight. Ready? 1, 2, 3. What's good is that there's at least more than one person screaming. So yeah, I'll take that. Here's the deal. I have been doing real estate in many different forms. Like Matt, where's Matt? He's back over there. He and I used to play in the same playground, so to speak. Because he would take one part of Memphis, I'd take the other, and we just divided up and conquered. That's just kind of what we did, all right? But what happened for me is that I ended up owning somewhere in the neighborhood of 400, 450 doors, and that's wonderful and all. But here's the truth of the matter. No one at the age of 38 should ever be in a position to where they're retired and literally doing nothing. Now, I don't mind you being retired, but it's the doing nothing that got to me, right? And I needed a way to still contribute, and I needed other things. Now, having lots of units, it was great. I literally had nothing to do all day. It was really boring. Some of you want that kind of boring. Who's that? And they're like, I'm here for that boring. That's exactly why I'm here today. Totally get it. And a number of things happened. One, actually, tomorrow is, I believe, the 6-year anniversary of 2 of my business mentors. They passed away in a plane crash. And that got me to thinking, what would my kids still have? Like, yay, property, right? What was I really leaving behind? And what it came down to is that the most valuable thing I have is what I know. The experiences that I learned. What my wife and I, who has disappeared, she's in here somewhere, what my wife and I have gone through to get where we are. And I started documenting it in a diary. And then I had to figure out, what kind of diary is this? Well, it's a diary about how to make cash flow. Suddenly the name of the company makes sense, right? because it was originally intended for my kids. And then a friend said, hey, I bet you adults would want to know how to do that too. It's like, oh, good idea. And then that's what I started doing. I just started helping other adults learn how to build streams of cash flow. And that was kind of fun. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I've done single family houses. I've done the notes. I've brokered them. I've held them. And we're talking large numbers of all of these things. I've bought one house at a time. I've bought dozens of houses at a time. There was a time where I was literally buying about 100 units a quarter. It was pretty nuts, but we did that. I've done apartment buildings, the small kind and the big kind. I've owned cell phone towers. I've done a lot of interesting things to create cash flow. With all of that being said, knowing what I know today, if I had to start over, the number one thing I would be doing is short-term rentals, period. I have taught a lot of people, and I've never seen this many people learn something so quickly, grasp it, and be able to put themselves in a position to where they no longer need their full-time job. Never seen it. Of all the stuff that I've taught. I've never had long-term landlords tell me, oh my God, how come I didn't do this with my property so many years ago? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I didn't know about it either. But every one of them end up doubling and tripling their rent, and they're just like, this is nuts. I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's exactly why I'm here. It's because I keep wanting to create more entrepreneurs and let people know, hey, this is how you do it. And you don't do it just by bringing a whole bunch of people on board. That's how it used to be done. We have a lot more tools today to be able to go out there and professionally manage a significant amount of property without having to have any issues whatsoever. And that's exactly what we put together. That's why you saw Rebecca here, that they 70, think about it, 75 short-term rentals. That's crazy if you think about it. When you stop to think about, like, what would that take? What does that look like? We're talking 10 to 15, if not 20 cleanings a day. That's a lot, right? I mean, like every day. There's not a day where it's like, ooh, glad that's done. Won't have to do that for a week, right? No. Tomorrow we got to do it all over again. It's done with systems. And that's what I like about this whole business, this whole thing. Now, with all of that being said, how many of you are willing to admit that you came down here with at least one question already? Okay? This is good. Yeah, Rebecca, I know you are a question. God, I love it though. But before we get to the questions, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. How many of you are that person or are willing to be that person who's actually here because you're kind of anti short-term rentals? I should turn around and see. I just want to see if there's anyone in the room. Look at you. No, somebody's got to. You're being called out, Ernest. I mean, he's pointing to you. He's pointing to you. Oh, I just didn't see it. Okay, that's great. I want that too, because I don't want everybody to be like, yes, this is great, the greatest thing ever. You've got concerns. And I want those to come out as well. I don't want to hide from them. I don't want you to think you can't ask them. I really do want them, because as it comes out, as at the end of the day, addressing those things are all things they're all thinking, right? But they just may not want to say it in this environment. More importantly, there's a lot of them, one of me, and when the microphone goes down, they're all going to bum rush me and ask me the questions that you actually have, so I would rather get them all done more efficiently. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. So, with that being said, let me start with a very basic definition. Short-term rentals, really what it is it's just repackaging time. That's really the inventory. So it's not about the property, and I know, because I always have this problem with people who have done real estate in the past. They think, which location? What about the 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom? Does it need to have a spiral staircase? I don't care. What about the school district? Irrelevant when it comes down to figuring out how to run a short-term rental business. What does matter, here's the most important question, so let me get this out because I'm going to have to repeat it over and over again. This is also code, please write it down. When you ask me, hey, what about XYZ, like, What furniture do I put in? I'm always going to start with this one question. Who do you want to serve? That is the most important question in the business. It's not about the property, it's about the experience they have at your property. I'll say that again. It's not about the property, it's about the experience they have at your property. And if you haven't thought through, first, who do you want to serve, you're dead. Because there's too many choices. That's probably the biggest challenge for most people to get their head around, is that there are so many choices. And I get that. There are a ton of choices. You know, we got lots of types of inventory. Do I want to be downtown? What about near the airport, near a hospital? What do I want? What do they want? I mean, and that's what you got to really, really focus in. And be okay with, quote unquote, leaving money on the table. We intentionally focus on three specific customer types. I know there's 40, I've identified 45, and I only care about 3. Because from those 3, we can do quite fine. We don't need to try to serve all 45. And that's really, really paramount for you to understand as you ask your questions as we talk tonight. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, let's try that again. I have a very small rule. It's called 100% participation. 100% what?
Participation.
100% what?
Participation.
I'm not hearing this side of the room at all. Let me try that again. It's 100% what?
Participation.
Much better. That means everyone participates. Because when everyone participates, we all grow, we all get better. That's what I care about. I want you to leave a better person today than you came here today. That's my goal. To make sure that you learn at least one thing, because then it was worth the 12 hours in traffic. Right? It was worth it. And I've got to make the time worth. Not only do I have to make the time worth traffic, I got to make, you were missing the NBA Finals game 1. For some of you, that's a thing. And I know that. Look at him. He's looking at me. This is why he's upset. He would rather be watching the game right now. So, how did you get down here? That's a good question.
How did I get down here?
Yes. You encouraged or brought you dragging, kicking, screaming, because you're like, dude, the game was on. Little bump. Okay, excellent. And what's your name? Lamont. Hi, Jay. Why was it so important for Ernest to be here? Why did you tell him? What did you say? He needs to learn a better way to make money. So you've already decided this is a better way. Based on what?
Listening, learning, past speakers.
Listening, learning, and past speakers. Who? Yes, Brian Page. I'm familiar with Brian. Okay. Got it. No problem. Okay, this is good. So do you have any units right now?
I just started.
One, where? What city?
In Los Angeles.
LA. Excellent. That's a good question. How many of you have at least one short-term rental at the moment? Show of hands. Keep them up because it's going to take me a while to see how. Really? Interesting. Okay, that's awesome. And with Lorena, hey! I was like looking at her the entire. Okay, awesome. All right, I know. Well, hold on. Who has at least one? Okay, Lamont, are you in my program?
I am not.
You're like the only one whose hand is up who's not, which I find very interesting right there. So this is good. I agree with you though, by the way, that short-term rentals is the way to go. Were you a long-term landlord before? You did. Oh, you still are. Okay, excellent. So did you convert an existing unit?
No.
No. Okay, got it. So what clued you into that? Hey, I want to give this a try.
Low capital outlay.
Yes. Did you hear that? He said low capital outlay out front. Hit me with the number, man. What was your number? First of all, what type of building was it? Was it a house or an apartment? What'd you use?
Condo.
A condo. Excellent. And what was your initial capital outlay?
I don't know the numbers.
Ballpark it. High. High, because it's going to be lower than what they're thinking.
So, not including first and last month.
Sure, not including first and last month. We'll just add on $5,000 because it's California. Right.
Another 4,000 to 5,000.
So you're saying 9,000 was your all-in cost. Can we round that up to 10? Sure. 10. $10,000. Now, what do you expect to earn? Let's go with top number first. On a monthly basis from that property.
Earn
Top number?
Top number. We'll get to the bottom number in a minute. How long have you been in operation? Last week. Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause for getting something done. Because see, here's where the rubber meets the road. How long have you been thinking about this?
About
September of last year. That's month number 9 on the calendar, right? And we are at month number, well, let's call it month number 6. So that's 7 months. How many of you are willing to admit that you thought this would be a good idea, and it's been more than 7 months and you still haven't done anything? Yeah, got it? You see where I'm going with this, right? That's really important to understand, because I know many of you have had the idea, but it doesn't matter until you actually do something about it. Just to give you an idea, so you're about to hit the fun time. I do mean fun time when it comes to LA. Is it 1 bedroom or 2? Okay, so you're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $55,000 to $6,000 on a monthly basis. Is probably where you're going to be. Does that make sense? Now that's going to be the low number for now until you actually learn your customer, and then it's going to go up. Is that kind of cool? And it sounded like you said first and last, so you don't own this condo, do you? That's a great idea. I like that idea. $10,000 out of pocket. $72,000 gross revenue a year. How many of you are already thinking like that doesn't make sense? It's too good to be true. It doesn't make sense. Like, how is that possible? Why isn't more people talking about this? I know, that was my question, right? But that's exactly what we're talking about. And then having a portfolio of those, 5, 10, 15, 20, 75, does that change a few things for you, yes or yes? Yeah. And that's what I found out, and that's why I'm here. It's because as I found this out, I got more and more excited about something I didn't even know existed. And then I'm just like, how come more people aren't talking about it? And then I said, you know what? I need to stop getting more units, and I need to start helping more people. And that's what has happened. And that's what I get excited about every day. Yes?
Question, are you saying that you don't have to own the property?
Say that louder.
Sorry, are you saying that you don't have to own the property to put it to Airbnb?
That's correct.
I flipped out! Literally lost my mind when I put that together. Because I was at first, I live in Mission Viejo, and there was a house down the street that I was going to pick up subject to, because I'm like, cool, I know how to do that. And I know how to raise the capital. I can do, okay, cool, let's just go get a property. It's no big deal. I got this. And then I realized, between the down payment, rehab cost, and making up deferred, the deferred maintenance, as well as the back payments on the mortgage, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. How much money I got to put in and then go get the furniture? I was like, wait, let's do some math. And then I took a step back, and I realized that either A, I could spend $100,000 and get one house, or take that same $100,000 and get 7 to 10 if I just leased them. And I was like, hold on. That means if I lease them, I'm going to get that $100,000 back in about 10 months. Whoa. I lost my mind. Ask my wife. Lost my mind. She was in Chicago when I figured this out. When she got on the plane, we had kind of talked about this might be something we would do. By the time, before she got on the plane to come back, I said, honey, I need your help because we just signed some leases and it's time for some kitchen stuff and I don't know how to put a kitchen together. She's like, what'd you do? That's how quickly it went down because I figured that out and I lost my mind. And in a matter of 6 months, we went from 0 to 19. And I was like, hold on, this makes no sense. I've grown many things to 7 figures, never anything this quickly. And that's when I said, hold on, wait a minute, I gotta bring other people with me. Because see, back when I was 38, I know that doesn't sound like that long ago for some of you, yeah. But
the one thing although yes, we had a bunch of property and it was great, what I was by myself. That really stunk, to be that age and have nobody to go play with all day because they were at work. That was my reality. It was not fun. And I wanted more people with me. And then I saw this as a way to bring more people with me, quote unquote, this time. And that's exactly what we've been doing, is focusing, growing our own portfolio, bringing more people with us. Because they don't know, you don't have to own the property. You have to control the property. So does that mean lease options are there? Absolutely. If you want, because that's been the new thing that I've started doing, especially here in LA, is I want to buy the property eventually. I know I want to buy the property. That's like how I got this far. It's like, I got to own the property. So I've been negotiating with the landlord up front. Hey, I want to buy the property in about 3 years. You cool with that? Let's put that in here too, because I want that option to buy the property. And that's one of the things that I'm looking for when I go and talk to landlords. Not only do I want to lease the entire building, I also want to buy your property in a few years as well. Because that also then allows me to take what was in the East in Memphis and bring it to California, right? So now it's all working together. So, yeah, go ahead.
It works in Memphis too.
Yeah, I got it. He said I did work the craziest thing is, yes, people ask me, Jay, where does it work? Well, I've seen it work nearly everywhere. And by nearly, I mean there are 2 locations on planet Earth that I have found that can be a little challenging, and appropriately so. One of them is Minot, North Dakota. Who knows where that is and why that might be a little challenging? Yes, what'd you say? Cold. It's cold. It's where the Air Force, our US government, keeps our nuclear weapons because it's cold. Where animals literally freeze overnight. Like, literally freeze. Animals, they're supposed to be built to last. That does not work, right? So during the cold months, is it a challenge? How many of you have ever said, you know what, I can't wait to go visit Minot, North Dakota? How many of you can find North Dakota on a map? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? That's what I'm saying. So there, it's been a little challenging. We do have a student there, that's how I know, right? The other place is, it's a little place that gets really, 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 really hot. Like really hot. It's where the time and temperature can sometimes be the same. Death Valley? No. Actually, right? I like where you're going. I'm talking about Tucson, Arizona. During the summer. How many of you have said, I can't wait to go on a vacation to Tucson during the summer? It's like, no. Right? Because it just really gets hot. Now, it doesn't mean you can't make it because we have students there who have made it. It just gets more challenging. You have to get more creative. You can't just list it on Airbnb. And let me say this now. You do not have an Airbnb business. You have a short-term rental business. And this distinction is key, especially when you're talking to landlords and apartment owners. Where's the property manager? I heard her. Yes, what's Robin, right? Yes, I want to talk to you. Because the one avenue I have not been able to figure out is what's going on in that property manager's head. Because I'm like, we can help you guys if we can just figure it out. And I'm like, I'm the solution to landlord's vacancy. Period. We are their solution. Because not only do I want a lease for at least 1 year, I want a multi-year lease. And it's going to be consistent. So that vacancy factor goes way down. There's so many reasons. Yes?
I think they don't get it.
I know they don't get it. I'm trying to figure it out.
They're scared. They're used to, a lot of my owners have owned properties for years. And
Yes.
Old school.
Yes.
And so they're like, no, not broken. I'm good.
No, cool. Then let me give you the same rent you're used to getting. I have no problem with that. Let's do that. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, John.
So are lease contracts or your contracts, is there ever anything written up in the contracts saying that you cannot do short-term rentals? Because I believe mine are. I have 10 properties, and I think I'm I'm that old school thinking where I don't want to do it, but I'm pretty, you know.
Absolutely.
So, but I think my contracts are written where they can't sublease it out.
Correct.
Is subleasing short-term rental?
Aha! See, now we're getting, is there an attorney in here? And where?
Right there.
Awesome! What type of law?
Real estate.
Real estate law, excellent. Hi, Bill. So this is great. I'm with you guys. I understand. Now, when I get to this conversation, because can you believe I've had at least this conversation once? Yes. Landlords bring this to me, right? Apartment companies say, hey, we don't want this. Okay, cool, no problem. Let me ask you what your concern is, because let's find out what the concern. The majority of the time, the concern has been that they, one, don't know who's in there. That's number one. And then number two, they don't know who to hold responsible if something happens. I was like, oh, so I can answer those two questions. Are we good? And they're like, yes. You can hear there's like, why? What do you mean? What do you know that I don't know? And how are you going to deal with this? And what we do is we end up answering those questions. Because here's one of the things that we put together. Inside the system, because landlords, do you do a credit check? Are you also doing a terrorist watch list check? We are. Are you also making sure they haven't laundered money recently? We're checking. Criminal background? Yeah, that's good. Are you getting a photocopy of their ID? Of course. So am I. Do you understand? I'm doing the same things that you're doing. I know the exact same thing, except I tend to know a little bit more. Because I didn't ask them, why are you coming to town? You know what they say? They tell me why they're coming to town. Now, we hear everything. And I do mean everything. For example, is there at least one realtor in the room? Because this is going to be good. All right. Have you ever worked with a realtor or a client going through a divorce? You know what both of those people need? A place to stay. And we hear the entire story. That's what happens. They contact us and say, hey, I need a place to stay. Rephrase. Me and my girlfriend need a place to stay because my wife and I are selling the house. What? That's a little TMI, but I know. Does that make sense? I know we know what's going on. We disclose. How many of you as landlords right now can pull up a camera feed and know exactly how many people are in a particular unit? You can do that. Why not? I can. I know who's in there. That's what I am trying to stress. And when I go through all the security procedures that we actually have in place and automated, people go, oh, well, that makes me feel better. Good. I know who's in there. Number two, I then simply tell them, look, no matter what happens, you're going to hold me responsible. Don't worry, whomever's there, we're going to screen them. We're going to make sure we have no issues. That's my job. But if anything happens beyond the normal landlord-tenant arrangement, meaning you're going to still be responsible for the roof leaks and major plumbing stuff, like you've always been responsible for. If anything else happens, we're going to handle it. Period. We're going to handle it, and you hold us responsible. If you need me to sign an additional document, sure, no problem. And by the way, here's one that we've used before. Right? And then I always follow it up with, and just so you know, we have insurance that covers you as well. What's left? Yes, I was waiting for that. You're the attorney, you better.
What's the incentive of the owner?
What is the incentive of the owner? That's a great question. Do we, can we pull that video up real fast, Matt? Is there a way to you pull up the video somehow? Yep. Because that is the question. Why would the owner do this? Right? So let me start by, if you can pull a video up and stop at any portion where you see a bunch of photos flashing. I don't need it to play, I just need the photos on the screen. How many of you as landlords have ever done a turnover? At least one. How many of you enjoyed that experience? Like, not even once. But you screened them. They said they were going to be the best tenant ever. What happened on turnover? What did it look like? They weren't the best tenant ever, right?
How much time did that take? How much energy did that take? I don't know, but it was more than you wanted to spend at that time. That's why many of you keep your rent too low. Because you're like, dude, if I keep my rent low enough, they won't leave. I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go back in there. You know how long they've been there? I'm like, yeah. I don't want to look under that cupboard either. Does that make sense? Here's the thing. Bill is Bill, right?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you what is probably a very obvious question. Have you ever used a hotel before?
Yes.
At least once?
At least once.
At least once. When you went to that hotel and turned the doorknob, so you went past the registration desk, they gave you the key, you got there, you turned the doorknob. When you opened the door, what did you expect?
A clean, well-lighted, room that's non-smoking.
Right there. There you go. Right there, non-smoking. Clean, well-lit, non-smoking. Anything else?
Yeah, secure.
Secure. What else?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you, would this qualify for your standard of clean?
Sure.
Okay. Does it look comfortable?
I don't like the painting.
You don't like the painting on the wall? I understand. You like it though. You like it. She likes it. He doesn't. Who do you think does the majority of the reservations? She does. And do you think we've thought about that through with our designers before we take the photos? The answer is yes. Okay. But does this look? Okay. Let's pretend that I gave you your personal access code and only you had that code, 4 digits that allows you into that room. Does it feel secure?
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. But hold on. When you do this with your long-term tenant, after you give them the keys, 1 week later, what does the unit look like? Not this. Here's my point, and this is the biggest benefit, bar none. And I make this promise to every landlord. Our customers are typically staying anywhere from 4 to 6 days. It gets longer during the summer, shorter during the winter times, and it depends. If you're near a convention center, it can go longer too. There are many, or near a hospital. I love hospital people. Okay, that's another story. But what it comes down to is every 4 to 6 days, we have a professional cleaning crew. Bill, you look like a tall guy. Have you seen the top of a refrigerator? Ever?
Yes.
Yes. And people ask you not to look up there, don't they? Why? Why do they do this? When's the last time you cleaned it? Guess what? I have to clean it every 4 to 5 days. How many of you have seen a ceiling fan that you were afraid to turn on because you knew if you flipped the blades, something might come down? Gross, right? You're laughing because you're like, oh yeah, that's like in my house. Yeah, I understand. But I've got to clean that every 4 to 5 days. How many of you know right now at home, you have a toilet or a sink or a doorknob that's just a little loose that bugs you, but not enough for you to do anything about it, right? Well, guess what? I have to fix it every 4 to 5 days. As I have said to every landlord ever, we're going to be your best tenant. Here's why. Not because I say so, my customer demands it. Because Bill, when you made this reservation, do you care that 300 people stayed here before you? Do you care? No. You're not going to give me any leeway. If there's a smudge on the carpet, you're like, dude, there's a smudge on the carpet. I can't say to you, yeah, Bill, I just need you to understand there was 300 people here before you, so we're doing pretty good. That's not going to work, is it? I have to make it look like this. Day one, all the time. There is no tenant you will ever have that's going to do that. My landlords can go in any day, on any turn, and this is what they're going to see. They're going to see what it looked like from day one. Yeah, go ahead.
So if the landlord signs off on all this, agrees with it, why does he involve you? Why didn't he just decide to do it himself?
Why not do it himself?
I'm just saying, why does he recognize it?
I don't mind him doing it himself. How many of you know this is a little bit more work than just your traditional landlord thing? Right? The answer is the work. It really is more work. Don't get me wrong, I can automate the work, and we have. To the point to where, my personal portfolio is 24. We are on approval for 3 more, so we'll be at 27 units. And those 27 units on a normal day take my personal time of no more than 90 minutes. Which is kind of cool. And that's like a 7-figure thing, which makes no sense whatsoever. 7 figures, 90 minutes. Woo! What do I do with the rest of my day? I know that's what you're thinking. But, but this is my point. Most landlords have gotten used to, I put the tenant in, and it's on them. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that business model. It's been working for quite some time. If you want more, you have to contribute more, which is more time, more systems, more effort, more energy. They can do it themselves. We have had many say, well, why don't I do it myself? I'm like, cool, come on in. Do it. And then they realize, no, we'd rather have you do it because it's actually working. You can't, like if the toilet breaks, you can't go, oh, cool, I'll call my friend Bob who comes over 2 days later. That doesn't work. It's got to be within hours, if not minutes, especially depending on the time of day. You don't have that. And that's not something a lot of landlords want to do. And I get it. Who would? Yes?
I believe that there's probably plenty of landlords that would just rent you the place on a multi-year lease.
You were correct.
For market.
Yes, they are.
For more sophisticated owners, how much will they try to get a premium because they know what you're going to get?
Sure. I've had landlords typically somewhere between $100 to $300, depending on location, over market is what they tend to go for. And depending on the location, I might be willing to pay it. Because there are some locations, especially in LA, especially near a hospital, especially near a business district, where you can make that work. Because an average 600 to 800 square foot one bedroom is easily going to make you a minimum of $45,000 a year if you did it backwards, and probably closer to 52. That's on a one bedroom, right? So just keep that in mind. So yeah, there are times where it depends on the location, though. Location can play a part in the daily rate. Not occupancy, not will it work, but it can help you earn more money. Was it Anthony? Yes. Yeah.
The example where the plumbing goes out.
Where the plumbing goes out, which I can't stand, which happened last weekend. Keep going.
Who would be responsible? You, the WC, or the
Got it. He's like, who's responsible when the plumbing goes out? Depends on what we're defining as the plumbing went out. In this particular case, my unit is at the end of the plumbing line, and we had no clue what was going on, and it started to back up through the tub, and I'm like, dude, we got a problem. Can you please send someone over there? And that's what he did. Does that make sense? So, and I'm sure they just snaked it and pulled it out. It was gross. But, hey, that's what happens. So in that instance, it was me. On another instance, there was a time where the tenant our guest did not operate the shower properly and couldn't turn it off. So we literally had the water running, like just running. Now, fortunately, the tub was flowing freely, so the water just kept running through, but the water was just on. And then, okay, so that one's kind of on me, right? So it depends on what it is. It can be very situational, right? At the end of the day. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Do you personally guarantee your leases?
I try not to, but I will. So we always put our entities on the lease for other legal reasons because there's liability from the guest perspective that we're always concerned about. But if the landlord requests a personal guarantee and I'm getting enough units, don't like, hey, I want to get 1 unit and a personal. No. How about 10? 20? Okay, we can talk about that. Because that's something I would be willing to do in that situation. Does that make sense?
Well, the problem that landlords think of,
and
I suspect your property managers here would echo this, is they're not concerned about the plumbing breaking so much as they're concerned about your short-term renter coming in for 3 days, having a 3-day party.
I was waiting for that.
Let me finish. Destroying their property, the owner's property. Not having your personal guarantee. And you're not at the other end of the line on Monday morning.
Yeah, no, totally understood.
And the tenant's gone.
Sure.
They've sustained $50,000 worth of damage because the Rolling Stones, moved on.
Totally.
And,
Coach Shepard, baby.
Right? So,
yeah, totally.
So to me, that's what my clients would be concerned about.
Sure.
And they would say, well, okay, if you're gonna do this.
Yep.
That's great. I'm gonna need a check for, say $50,000.
Sure.
We'll just put it in trust. We'll just keep it there and that'll backstop me.
Understood.
If the Rolling Stones come through. And if
Sure.
they don't, then you get it back at the end of the lease, or you personally guarantee it, or you bond it, or you do something that is an expensive undertaking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So let me ask you, Bill, would you rather have a $50,000 check from me or a $1 million check from Lloyd's of London? Which would you prefer?
I'd rather have both. And if
I know you would rather have both.
And
I get that.
And I'd ask for both.
You would ask for both, but you can only have one.
I say, well, Lloyd's is going to want a $50,000 self-insured retention. So I'm going to owe as the owner, I'm going to owe $50,000 when I call Lloyd's. And then when they get around to coming to my unit and making a deal with me, I've lost 6 months worth of rent.
Right.
And you're gone.
Correct.
So I want both. I want personal guarantee. I love this. And I want, I don't need Lloyd's. I'll take Travelers or.
No, I want Lloyd's.
Or State Farm. But I want an A-rated carrier in the state of California.
Absolutely.
And
no problem.
I want a low deductible.
Absolutely. Right. So how about instead of because the only thing Lloyd's wants from you or me, first of all, they're going to make you an additional insured. Number one. Number two, it's going to be $1,000 deductible. That's it. No $50,000 from them. It's a $1,000 deductible. I'll gladly pay that. I'll put that on deposit right now. So that if anything happens, you're also an additional insured. You can make the claim yourself if I disappear.
So now we go full circle.
Yep.
What's in it for me? Okay, we've got all these pieces in place.
Well, hold on. Let's not.
All these pieces in place.
Hold on one second.
I got all this insurance. Meanwhile, I'm not really making any significant money.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna get to that. Do you see how we took care of the first issue, though? Insurance is really key. Insurance is big. Insurance was big for me. I wasn't willing to do the business if I couldn't find it. I found it. I'm like, yay, good, because insurance is huge. Now, with that being said, what's in it for you? Are you saying there's literally no value to you in lowering your vacancy bill? Because last time I checked, you have an apartment building which is measured on cap rate. So if I take your vacancy even from 2% to 0, you're saying that's not worth it.
You're my tenant. I'm 100% occupied. Let's see the simple example. One unit.
Sure.
Or you've got a 3-year lease.
I understand.
I'm the landlord.
Okay.
You're the tenant.
Okay.
Personally guaranteed for 3 years.
Sounds great.
Okay, so I have 100% occupied.
You do?
I'm making market because you're the tenant.
I would. That is correct.
Okay.
In that particular situation, you're saying that having no vacancy is of no value to you?
No. It's.
I'm not there yet. I'm just asking. We gotta have to take this one at a time. You understand? So you're saying not having vacancy is of no value. You can say yes or no. I'm just fine. I just need to know.
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Okay, then I am.
What I'm saying is, I'm the landlord.
Yes, you are.
100% occupied.
Are you 100% occupied without me?
No, with you.
Okay, continue.
Right. So you're paying me rent every month for 3 to 6 months.
I plan on it.
At market.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Bring it.
And now I've got all this insurance, and I've got all these other pieces in place that really don't benefit me unless it burns down.
Sure.
So what is in it for me? What are you paying? Are you paying me, for instance? Isn't the conversation, okay, I want 30% of what you're getting per day?
Okay, I have no problem with that. Let's enter into that conversation.
Isn't that almost always the conversation?
No, why would it be? Because here's the question, what's your alternative? If I'm not your tenant, who is? And what's your vacancy? And what's your turnover cost? And what are those other expenses that have been eating up in the back of your mind? What are they? Are they 0? The answer is no. You and I both know that. That's my negotiation point right there.
Well, but you're okay. So you're going to pay me $3,000 a month.
Is this a house?
You can make whatever.
Okay. Well, when you said 3,000, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, but yes. Okay, sure.
Whatever the property is.
Yeah, you pick the number.
You're going to pay $3,000 a month.
Yep.
And you're going to make $15,000 a month.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, on a house, first of all, if I can get a house for 3 and make 15, I'm probably going to be. We're going to have a completely different conversation from the beginning because we're going to be talking about a lease option or something of that nature. But what you're saying is 3. Let's go with 3 to 9. That's more realistic. And the answer is yes. That's exactly right.
So isn't the second question from the landlord? Okay, I want a piece of that 6.
Absolutely, Bill. Here's how you get it. It's going to cost us approximately $75,000 to furnish your house. How much of that are you willing to contribute?
None.
None?
No.
So you don't want to do anything more?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so why would I give you 30% if you're not going to do anything more? Because see, Nick here, he right next door, he's willing to go ahead and do the deal at market.
Okay.
But do you understand? No, I'm fine. I'm okay with that.
Believe me, I understand. It's a leap of faith. What you're describing to me is not my experience representing landlords who sit down across the table from tenants for multi-unit apartment buildings, whatever. They would be asking all of these questions.
Absolutely.
Back, and basically coming to the conclusion at the end of it many times, not always, of course, but many times, this is like just rolling a grenade potentially into my condo.
If I don't know what I'm doing, you're 100% right.
Right.
You are. And that's part of my challenge. What you are bringing up is the biggest challenge that we have. Is that the access to this opportunity, for example, requires a cell phone. How many of you have one of those? How many of you have two of those? Right? That's the problem, Bill. What you are bringing up is the central issue. It's why Cash Flow Diary exists, because what happened is that the cell phone got so well distributed. Airbnb did such a great job of telling people what you could do. A whole bunch of individuals who have never screened a soul in their entire life suddenly had access to grant people a place to stay. And the people who needed a place to stay could easily find them. And now all of a sudden, you're out of your depth. You don't know that you need to screen. You have no clue what questions to ask. And you don't have to, because the app made it so easy. And everybody could come in. And then the stories happened. I am with you. But that is the difference, my friend, between the hobbyist and the professional. And what we've been endeavoring to do is to create professionals who know how to deal with everything that every landlord is concerned about. Have I dealt with prostitution and gotten rid of it? Yeah. But didn't you deal with that in a long-term rental too? Yeah. Have I dealt with drugs and gotten rid of it? Yeah. But didn't you deal with that in a long-term rental too? Yeah. Everything you're used to dealing with, I have to know how to deal with too. And that's the difference, is when you don't have the tools to do it, you get stories like, I just don't want to take the risk. And you're right. I'm not saying this without risk, but I am saying that the benefit we bring is we're going to lower your deferred maintenance by a ton. Like a lot. We're going to lower that vacancy by a ton. And for those who have an apartment building, the cap rate is going to be your best friend. By far. And you'll be able to gain so much more just in those two things alone, that we suddenly become very, very worth it, even if we don't have any sort of split on the other end. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not open to some sort of other creative endeavor. I just want you to contribute something more than just the property. Because I've got other expenses, and if you want to take some of that off my balance sheet, let's talk. But if all we're talking about is access to your property, there's way more property and way more landlords and way too much vacancy for me to have to put myself in a position where I have to give you 10, 20, 30%. That's really all I'm saying. Doesn't mean I'm not open to it under the right circumstances, though. And those circumstances always involve, in my world, an apartment building, multiple units, because it just doesn't pencil otherwise. It just doesn't work. Matt?
I think one of the central issues is that, when you're first starting out with a short-term rental business, you're going to the landlords and you don't have proof.
Nope.
You are going to actually do what you're saying, where it's like, hey, I'm going to go through and lower your vacancy rate and not have you have turnover costs, because unless you come correct to them and say, here's my proof of funds, here's all the benefits, here's my financial strength and my experience, and come with that setup from the start, prove to them, here's my net worth now, here's my company's net worth, so I shouldn't have the personal guarantee because here's the financial statements with the company and that type of thing. If you're able to come correct like that, you have a lot less of those issues with the landlords because you're able to counterbalance that problem. Now, in the beginning, it might be more of a problem because you're like, I got to develop my financials and, you know, trying to get that, you're finding the landlords that are okay with that risk, right?
Correct. And to Bill's point, have I paid a higher security deposit? Might you at the beginning? Yeah, absolutely. That's our number one, the easiest fallback is just a higher security deposit. That's typically what happens.
Have you persuaded any big commercial landlords, Irvine Company, Arnell, any of the
yes, is the answer to your question.
With Arnell.
The answer to your question is yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And they've signed off on that?
Arnell loves us.
Yes.
I mean, instead of having to, you know, imagine, I think between Jay and I and one property, Arnell property, we have 12 or 14 units.
Yeah.
They now deal with one of us, not 14
Yeah,
individual people who all have their own baggage. And they know every month, because we're running a business, they're going to get paid.
Yep.
Do they exclude subleases in their leases?
They have the clause, and we had the conversation that I just talked to you about, because their concern was the response. Again, with most of the REITs, what I tend to call them REITs or larger private corporates, what they are concerned about is who do we sue for money when something bad happens. And we tell them, and we give them our insurance certificate, and we do everything that I just said right here. So yeah, I'm with you. In fact, some of our most receptive people have been the bigger ones because they have the biggest vacancy problem.
Is it their documents or your documents?
Theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
We tried that route, and I got shut down
Now,
real
of course,
fast.
we go through their documents, and there'll be some points of discussion.
There's always
points of discussion, and we'll talk about it and say, can we change this to this? And yeah, there's always give and take.
We've done that multiple times. Now, let's be really clear. It's not just in California. Unfortunately, I have the privilege of, we have students as far away as Ireland. We've got Russia. And what's the good Korea? The good one. That one. Okay. So we've got students all across the globe doing this, running our system, and this issue comes up a lot, especially when they start trying to deal with I call them the shinier buildings, because that's usually where they are. They got all the amenities, they got all the other stuff. Carol here is in Arizona with hers, and that's where she is she's got that same type of thing. So the answer to your question is yes, they're hyper receptive to it. They need us to prove that we know what we're doing. And fortunately, we have the ability to help people do that. Yeah.
I'm gathering from your dialogue that you're more excited about apartments, condos, and townhomes than you are single-family homes. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong per se. I have a bias. My bias is towards apartment buildings. I can talk to one landlord and get 10 leases. I like that. All right. I have done houses. I don't like garage doors, and they have more entries and exits, so it's harder to secure, because remember, I'm a security man. I grew up military brat, so I'm always thinking about ingress, egress, how much shade. I look at septet and wonder, is the lighting proper? Do I have the right number of bushes under each window? I drive myself nuts with the stuff, so I get rid of the houses and I'll deal with it, right? There's just too much to do when it comes to a house. Now, don't get me wrong, houses can totally crush it, especially if you have the right floor plan. Because you can take a house that's maybe $4,000, $5,000 a month and turn it into the 15 he was talking about with the right floor plan. So they're a great way to do it. I just have a bias against them. I really have a bias against condos. Because there's this other entity I got to deal with, HOA, that I don't want to deal with. Because there's lower hanging fruit. Now, we live in California, which is great. And we have some HOAs that I've now learned through my students that specifically customize themselves to serve short-term rentals, which I think is awesome. But I still don't want to deal with them. I just don't want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it safe to say that a one-bedroom apartment is probably the least income that you would charge for a short-term rental?
Say it again?
The least average daily rate would be
Got it.
a one-bedroom apartment?
No, because you're a real estate guy and you think it's about the property.
No.
It's about the experience at the property.
Okay.
Watch. How many of you are familiar with this store by the name of Walmart? You heard of them? At least once. Got it. How many of you know about Target? That's not a secret either. Have you heard of Nordstrom? Do those 3 stores sell any one thing in common? At least one thing. Let's say shirts. Now, when you go to buy a shirt at Walmart, you have a certain expectation, right? What do you expect when you go to Walmart?
Not much.
Not much. Not much, right? When you go to Target, what do you expect? A little bit more. I expect a clean floor in a Starbucks, otherwise they're the same, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? But when you go to Nordstrom, what do you expect?
Quality service.
Everything, right? Let me finish this, I'll come straight to you. Alright? So here's my point. What's the price of functionally, a shirt from Walmart does what?
$8.88.
It covers your body. Functionally, a shirt from Target does what? Covers your body. So can we agree that the function is the same, but the customer experience is different, and the price is way different, because they deliver on that customer experience. So with that being said, I can take a 1-bedroom, and depending on the location and the furnishings and the experience I choose to create on the inside, that could be my bargain basement, $70 a night. Don't do this. Or I can shoot more for the middle at $115, $135, and I can go total high-end to the $300 and $400 a night, and it's still a 1-bedroom. Because it's about the experience I create at the property, not the property.
Okay, that was really a pre-question. The real question, was, whatever the minimum amount is,
yes.
Is there some minimum dollar amount that you decide that you want to net, otherwise you're not going to do the deal? Like
$1,000 a month. $1,000 is typically where I tell people, like, look, it's $1,000 a door. So landlords, here's what I just said. If you're used to $100 a door, can you live with $1,000 a door net? If you can, then just do the work. That's literally what I'm telling you, if you want to do the work yourself. Okay? So for me, that number is 1,000.
Okay, thanks.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Ernest.
Yeah, because of the high turnover rate.
High turnover rate? Oh, you talk about employees?
Short-term.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
And existing long-term residents.
Yes.
They may not want that to be.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking they may want to move.
Yes.
I'm thinking, how does that affect the property value as well?
How does that affect the property value? So Ernest is saying that if I was a long-term tenant and suddenly in an apartment building and next door the landlord starts doing the short-term rental thing, I may not want this transient occupancy right next to me, and I might move. How does that affect the property value? It goes up. Why? Because the person who's operating the short-term rental then says, hey, Mr. Landlord, can I have that unit too? That's just what's happening in practice. Now, we're not trying to make that happen. We do our best to be a great neighbor. The best situation is when we can lease the entire building. That's what I prefer. I'm looking constantly for landlords or building owners who have an entire building vacant that they just finished rehab. I want the whole thing. That is the best situation on the planet. Because we can customize everything, we can secure everything, lock that sucker down, and that's what we do. When I can't do that, I just want 5 units in your building, at least. Because it's not worth it to me to set up what I got to set up unless I can get at least 5 units in your building. And then we can continue with the rest of the procedures to make that experience stay pleasant for everyone there. So we've done this in apartment communities that are up to 1,500 doors in one apartment community. We've done 200. We've done all kinds of things in between. At the end of the day, the best situation is if I can get the entire building. If I can't get the entire building, then that's fine. I'll take it one at a time.
Not like that's advantageous for you.
It's advantageous for the property owner too.
The property owner, the property value,
The property value goes up. Because remember, properties are valued on their income. Not like, hey, that tenant's there. They don't care which tenant's there. They care what's the income stream. Has it been consistent? What is your vacancy factor? Can you go to a bank and show, look, I've had 2 years, 0 vacancy. Like, how did you do that? Like, literally. They're going to assign you a vacancy factor even though you don't want one. That's what's going to happen. Right? Period. The property value goes up. Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a couple buddies doing this, and they're doing really, really well right now.
Sure.
But their big concern is LA County is not
Yep.
the most, well, 120 days they're saying is what it's, so you want to.
You want to complete that thought for everybody else so that I know what you're saying, but I want them to know what you're saying.
So LA County, I don't know which municipal group met and said they were going to limit these short-term rentals to 120 days.
Yep.
And that's all I know.
Yep, got it. So what you're saying is, isn't there a risk of government intervention?
Or what is
that risk? What does that look like? So let me ask you a question. How many of you can name me one business model that does not have the risk of government intervention? So let's throw that out there. That's not a new thing. I just want to put that out there. Second, the two things I look for when I'm looking to work in a particular city is do they have, first, I love it when they have the tax agreements in place first. Because that's really the most important thing.
Is that what it was?
This comes down to two things. Money and keeping the public happy, i.e. the politician keeps their job. It really comes down to two things in my opinion. So, when, for example, in 2017, LA County, the same place you're talking about, from one website, because of their tax agreement, received $42 million. So, what's your name?
John.
John, what politician can go on television and say, hey, we got $42 million, but because you guys don't like this, we're going to give it back?
All of them? All of them will probably say that at some point, right? Just because they don't know anything about money?
They will say that, right? That's what they're thinking. But what is really happening in practice? Where is that money going? Follow the money. That's really the answer to your question. And when that money starts to go and they start saying, well, can we at least have some of it for low-income housing? Okay, cool. I mean, I don't care. I don't care where the money goes. I care that they have the $42 million lifeline. That they have, because we get them hooked, right? On a little bit, and then we help them understand why they need the $42 million. Because clearly the LA County is doing fine with no more money, right? No, they're not. That's my point.
So where do you think that, how do you think this is going to play out?
That's a good question. How do I think this is going to play out? It's going to play out, and the tax agreement, as more articles like that get published, more cities are going to get on board and have a tax agreement, and then they're going to come up with a way. They're going to figure it out, because it's already been figured out in Fullerton and San Clemente, and a few other cities whose my brain is missing right now. But it's already been figured out before. Let's be really clear. This is not a new business model. Short-term rentals have been around since the Civil War days. Why? Because banks wanted to make sure that the person buying the house had enough money to pay the mortgage. So they gave them a second property on the property. It made sense. So this is not a new business model. They just got to figure it out. Just like, how many of you remember when they couldn't figure out how to charge sales tax on online sales? You remember that? Did they figure it out? Now, I'm not going to ask, but think about this. How many of you were around when they couldn't figure out what to do with alcohol? Right? None of us, right? But did they figure it out? Yeah, it's a controversial topic for sure. But the cat's out of the bag. What is the alternative? The alternative doesn't look good. Because it's not like they're going to go, cool, it goes away. It doesn't go away. It goes underground and becomes worse. And that's what they really don't want. No one wants that. And they don't have the staff to enforce it, no matter how you look at it. There's just too many pieces of property. The internet's too big. It's too powerful of an engine. So they have to figure it out. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm watching it. I think it's going to end positively, because we live in the United States of America. I got to believe that, you know. Many people, no matter how bad it is right now, there's someone somewhere right now literally sacrificing or trying to give their life to get their kids here. Think about it. Right now. Yeah, this is an issue, but it ain't that bad compared to where they're coming from. They'll figure it out. Ernest.
Yeah, the thing back on this question, right, exactly what he's saying. 120 days, you can only rent for a year, or what is that?
Okay, so there is no official ordinance yet. They're talking about many different things. There's lots of talkings about us. That's what the newspapers say. Now, the newspaper wants you to buy more newspapers, so they don't necessarily tell you to go read the actual notes of what happened or the ordinance, which doesn't currently exist. Yeah, it may exist, I don't know. But when it does, we'll find out. They could do something very common sense like what they did in Fullerton, which was great. Or San Clemente. I don't like San Clemente's version as much, but whatever. They'll figure it out. Huh? Well, they just gave us certain standards, because that's what's missing. Remember, that all you needed was a cell phone, and now you're in the game. There were no standards. Wild, Wild West. So in Fullerton, they put standards in. For example, some of the standards are you must have a fire extinguisher. It's got to kind of do that anyway. But it actually has to be said because some people didn't do that. Does that make sense? It's a lot of common sense ordinances and regulation. And if we can get more of like that, we're going to be fine.
There's no limitations for how many days.
Yeah, I don't like a day limitation, but because that doesn't help anybody. And it's hard, it's impossible to enforce. Because see, you're thinking all of my business comes from one website. It doesn't. How do you manage and police the entire internet? You can't. And heaven forbid, because this happens, how many of you are familiar with a restaurant by the name of Snooze? You've seen it, been there? Good. We house some of their managers. So now, can I have a direct relationship with this restaurant? Then they have absolutely no clue, right? How many of you have heard of a small little show by the name of Hamilton? Well, they were just in Orange County, right? We happen to have property right down the street, and some of those people stayed. Kind of cool, right? But how would they know that? Do you get what I'm saying? Their ability to enforce that is going to be really problematic. So they can do it, but how do they enforce it is what I'm trying to really stay. I don't know how they do that, and without it becoming a burden on the city, a bigger burden than what they claim is already there. I'm fine with whatever they do. I talked you into it. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it, bro.
How do they enforce it?
Yeah, how?
That tells me that there's a law. It sounds like there's a law, something that you're reading.
No. What I'm saying is, that's like how do they enforce the speed limit? The speed limit has a posted, and most of us look at that as a recommendation speed limit, right? We recommend you go 55. Yeah, I'm not saying you're not, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying go break the law. I'm saying it won't make any sense for them to make the law they can't enforce. That's all I'm saying.
Even periodically.
Yeah, quit breaking the law. Yes, you can put out a fine, but does the fine actually stop the crime? If it did, we probably wouldn't have the jail situation we got. All I'm saying to you is, because the ordinance doesn't exist, does 120-day, 180-day, does a day cap make sense? The answer is no. Why? Because it removes money from the city to solve the very problem that they said they wanted. We have, oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I've heard from a couple of my buddies that are doing this.
Yes.
They might offer an exemption, like
yes. But do you understand what I'm saying? Do you hear what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
They're already talking about, hey, we're going to have this, but you can get around it. Does it make sense to have it in the first place? I'm not a politician, but it doesn't matter. I would never get elected to anything. Right? All I'm saying is, you're positing, he's saying, what happens if? I'm saying, well, here's what I think would happen. There's nothing there now. Should there be something? Let's be really clear. I'm on your page. I want more regulation. Here's why. Because I'm tired of being lumped in with the people who aren't professional. It frustrates the tar out of me. I got to compete with them not knowing how to price their property properly. It really gets on my nerves. You cannot deliver quality service at $70 a night in a one-bedroom. You can't. You can't pay your cleaners a living wage at that price. You can't. I want them gone. I would love for something common sense to come on the books. It's just not there yet. Yeah, this is good.
For someone who can buy 5 properties,
Uh-huh.
or I'm sorry, at least 5 properties at one time.
Yes.
How do we get started?
One
apartment?
One apartment.
So I have an apartment that's really nice. Can I just Airbnb it?
Got it. Where do you have, is this are you renting from a landlord as in a person or a corporation?
Corporation.
Okay, got it. Probably not. Because that's the very thing that the lease we were talking about earlier, that's the very thing they don't want. Does that make sense? So you're going to have to start. What I prefer you do is go start to an actual person, landlord, and have that conversation. Those are the easiest, best ways to build your business and make this happen. It's going to be more work up front, but it's worth it.
And
Finding those out. Have you seen any construction at all? On a small or 20 unit or smaller building? You just haven't thought about it. You've driven right by it, but now that I'm bringing it to your attention, you're going to be driving home and be like, oh girl, look. That's exactly what's going to happen. All right? And so next time you do that, stop, talk to the workers, find out who's in charge, find out who the landlord is, call them. Hey, are you going to be renting this? Yes, I am. When? Oh, we're going to be done in about 3 weeks, which is really code for 6. But, so just know that, and then begin the conversation. Does that make sense? That's all a hand guess. Is that Maria? No, what is it really? Oh, it's really Maria? Okay, there were extra letters. I was like, what? Go ahead.
Question for you.
Yes.
I've traveled with Airbnb for the last 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I'm currently staying in hotels now because I've been experience. Oh, I never been screened once.
You have, you just didn't know it. Did you verify your ID? Did you? Your ID is not verified? Are you positive? Okay, let me. You want to show me your profile? I can show you where you've been screened. Is your phone number there?
It might be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Okay, got it. So here's the scary part.
Repeat the question.
So she was saying, I've stayed in Airbnbs a lot. She's like, I haven't been screened. I'm like, that's not possible. Because if you have a phone number and or an email address, I promise you, or you used your Facebook account, then, where we go? Yeah, right there. It says verified info, email address, phone number, and okay, so you used your personal info. So you can also verify via personal info, which was matched against whatever database in the world they know you from. And that's how the screening was done. It's not always done through passport or driver's license or government ID, but that's how you pass. Trust me, we get often people who try to make a reservation who haven't passed, and then we get on the phone saying, what's going on? It's a security violation, and then they're gone. Happens all the time.
The second part.
Yes?
Very often I see also instant booking.
Yeah, instant books.
Nobody tries it either. You push the button.
Correct. The book, that same info, when you press that, it's all happening automatically at the same time. You can't, in some cases, I can set it so that if you haven't done that, you don't even see my property. So if you haven't verified your stuff, you won't see my listing at all. All the amateurs who don't know that still have it there. And that's where the security risks come into play. They don't know one little setting that prevents people who haven't verified from making these reservations, and that's where we begin to get into issues. You're 100% correct. That's what I'm saying. The opportunity is so wide and so available. When people don't know this, they end up making those mistakes, and that's when you see stuff on TV. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody had a question. Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of the issues with putting in government regulations have
Yes.
to do with the public. I don't want all these people coming
Right.
in and out all the time.
Right.
How do you address that with landlords
Got
or
it.
with other tenants in the building?
Got it. So she's like, hey, there's lots of issues with the public saying, I don't want these people coming in and out all the time. First of all, how many of you have lived in an apartment and are willing to at least admit right now that you really don't even know who lives next door? Be honest, you're like, you don't know. You wouldn't know. Let's start with that. You don't know. Number two, when it comes down to it, we have a number of good neighbor policies. In the most extreme situations, we will go around and tell the other neighbors, hey, here's what's up. And in one case, we hired the neighbor to help us welcome the guests. Ta-da! Problem solved. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be a thing. It's not a thing. When people come in, like when they come toward, have an open house. Look, here's all the security procedures that's happening. This is what we're doing. Here's my phone number. If you think they're being too loud, by the way, by the time they call me, I already know. But if you think they're being too loud, let me know. we'll fix it. And we fix it. And they like that. They're like, how did you do that so quickly? Which gets back to one of the reasons these larger properties like us is because how quickly we do get rid of problems. Because they've tried it. You want to talk about the landlords who's actually tried to do it themselves, it's been the larger apartment complexes who have tried to do it. They're like, how come you can do it? They're not using the systems we're using to make it happen, and that's the difference. Because their systems are set up for long-term rentals, not 6 days. And those are two completely different things. Yes?
Kind of ignorant a little bit on the law surrounding short-term rentals, but how do you deal with stuff like, fair housing or ADA or comfort animals or kicking somebody out? Or
I really don't like comfort animals, but you brought it up. Okay, how do I deal with fair housing, ADA, all these other things? At the end of the day, I have the same set of screening procedures like I would for a long-term rental, period. I can't discriminate on those things that you're mentioning, and that comfort animal is coming, whether I like it or not. And most of the time it's not, but they're coming. Nothing I can do about it. Now, I will tell people, especially when they disclose, hey, I need a ramp or this or that and the other. By default, all of our properties are not made additionally handicap accessible, and we tell them that up front. Remember I said earlier there's 45 different types of customers? There's an entire marketplace of individuals who need the special bathtubs, the special ramps, the first floor, the parking spot close to the door, that if somebody wanted to just specialize in just that, they would clean up. Because I turn them down all the time. I not turn them down, I just tell them, because they ask, do you have this there? No, we do not. No, and they go pick somewhere else that does have it, right? The second one, because you mentioned it, is pets. How many of you love your pet more than you should? Be honest. Right? They're like, no, they deserve it. I get it. But it's difficult to travel with pets, yes? If you specialize specifically in serving people who travel with pets, guess what? You'll get them, because we tell them no all the time. Now, what people define as pets, just be careful. Because to some, a pig is a pet. Okay? Almost everything qualifies. It gets weird. Yes?
Okay, so everything you're saying sounds really good.
It does. I know.
Sounds good. I don't know how to do it. Obviously, your program sounds like it's professional. So what does it take to be part of your program?
Got it. Not here to sell anything today. I hear you. This happens every time I talk. But I appreciate it. Now, here's what I am going to do. Carol, Rebecca, Robert, Lorena, Dave, Leith, and Jill, would you please stand? These individuals have been through what you're talking about. Talk to them. They're from, we're talking Arizona, California, northern Orange County, way north LA, Orange County, Long Beach. They can give you the information that you're looking for, right? They're way better at telling you how great this is for so many different individuals than I will ever be. Because, Lorena, hopefully you don't mind, but English isn't her first language. And sometimes she and I even have trouble actually trying to understand one another. Okay, got it. But my point is, she's managed to still build a business because, guess what? There's a lot of people whose English isn't their first language that come here. Like, I really wish I spoke Mandarin. I really, really, really wish I did. Because, see, when I first got started, I didn't realize who was coming here. And I kept receiving requests to have packages shipped to our units, which is a security violation. Because you don't want packages shipped to your building. Trust me on this. And I'm like, eventually I got smart and said, what are you trying to ship anyway? And they said, a rice cooker. Oh, that makes sense. Do you understand? I didn't know. I had to learn about so many different cultures, it's not even funny. But you can talk to Lorena, because she does that. Thank you. Carol. Oh, I'm almost there. I've been working with Carol for a number of years. She works in a completely different state. By the way, Arizona and New Jersey are by far the two most friendly states in the U.S. for this particular model. And that's where she is. What I want to say, though, is she has a full-time job. She's been able to do it on a part-time basis. And how many units do you have now? 5, which is kind of cool. Part-time. And she's been working with the large apartment complexes that he was talking about. Okay? Now, everyone, I want you to understand, it's her fault. Here's what I mean by this. I have been training people for a number of years, teaching them to raise capital and do all kinds of things. And then one day she says, hey, Jay, I have a problem. I'm like, okay, what is it? She used to do student housing, profitable niche, yes, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I took your information and we started doing this other thing with it. I'm like, what is this other thing? She's like, it's short-term rentals. I'm like, tell me more. And long story short, she was like, I don't know if I should keep building my student housing or if I should go start doing short-term rentals. I'm like, well, let's get together and we'll figure it out. Let's look at the numbers. And then she showed me the numbers. I saw the numbers, and I quote you, I kid you not, I said, is this every month? Because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Does that make sense? I couldn't believe it. But here's the thing. The reason I made the phone call to my wife while she was in Chicago was because of the numbers. I just couldn't believe that can't possibly, you got lucky. I'm telling her, I'm in my head, that's what I'm thinking. This can't be real. If this was real, more people would be talking about it. And then I went and verified it first before I started opening my mouth. What happened is I got too excited and opened my mouth too early, and then I was like, I don't even know how to help all these people. Anyway, and that's what happened. And that's how we ended up here. But it's her fault. When we first talked, that was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And how many units did you have then?
Probably around 15-ish.
15-ish. And then when she told me when she showed me the numbers, I said, okay, I see what you're doing, but you're missing some systems and some stuff, and I can help you with that piece. I know jack about towels and soap and turnovers and cleaning. I know nothing about that. Gonna need your help there. And now that we've worked together for a little while, how many units do you have?
Over 75.
That's a lot. And I just want you to think about that. Minimum of $1,000 per month. Just think about that for a second. That changes so many possibilities for so many families, and that's what I got excited about. That's what I'm still excited about every day. Even when we have problem days. Today was a very problem day. I made up for all those days where I only worked 10 minutes.
No, you got more problems.
Okay, thanks. Today, when I only work for, some days when I only work for like 10, 15 minutes, we're making up for that today. It's pretty good, but it's okay. It averages out. It's no big deal. Yes?
Is there a different demand in this market for like a one-bedroom versus two
Yes.
versus three versus a house?
Got it. All right, remember what was that question I told you I was going to ask you? Who do you want to serve? Is there a different demand? Yes. However, who do you want to serve? For example, if you were focused on just serving the entertainment industry, you would have a completely different unit makeup than I do. Because when we've housed like a production crew or whatever, one bedrooms typically don't work, right? Because they got their stuff and them that they need to spread out and do their stuff. Now, if it's just one sound guy, one bedroom can work, right? But it depends on the customer type that you're looking for. Does that make sense? So that influences way more what types of properties you should be using than necessarily who's coming here. Matt?
Because of the short-term nature of this,
yeah,
and the change in the kind of rental laws, does this type of strategy, in your opinion, get you around rent control laws? would assume so, right?
The answer is yes. Yeah. So for those in rent control areas, I'm your solution. Suddenly, like, everybody's in. I'm sorry, what'd you say? First, well, if it's already vacant, I'm not telling you to go get rid of people, okay? Let's be very clear about that. But yes, I'm your solution. Absolutely, yes.
What do you think about long distance short-term rental?
Got it.
As she has in New Jersey and Arizona, and you are living in
Got it.
California. So
Got
I
it.
think how is dealing with this?
Got it. So to be clear, she's in Arizona, not New Jersey. Arizona and New Jersey are the two friendliest states. Okay? And she's asking, what do I think about long term or long distance? And to be clear, part of the reason this even came to my radar, and it made sense when Rebecca was saying what she was saying, is because I was previously looking at a hotel development in Belize, and I was like, oh my God, this is a great idea. But it's all the way over there. And what it came down to is what we're doing is I wanted to start close to home first. My full intent is that I wanted to perfect the system before I went further. So we started in Orange County. Then we went to LA, which you can agree with me is like going to another state, depending on the time of day. Right? And it kept working, and then we came back to Long Beach. And now we're beginning to think about other locations, like North Carolina is where I'm from, Fort Bragg. We work definitely near a military installation, right? And eventually internationally, first with English-speaking countries on British common law, before I start tackling foreign countries and their law structure, because I don't understand it enough yet. But yes, this is how we get international again. This is what we do. That's exactly what I'm after. Yes?
I have two questions.
Two questions. Number one.
You mentioned 3 out of 45. Is that convention centers,
Oh, got it.
hospitals, and business?
You want to know which three I like. You're asking for my secrets? Yeah. No problem. So the top 3 customers that I prefer, now again, that doesn't mean you can't build a business without them, because they have, right? I prefer, number one, to serve people who I'm most like. That was the easiest way to get started. When I travel for speaking or work or whatever, I'm the business traveler. That's it. It's very simple. And I know what he or she needs when they're traveling for business. An easy place to work and very nice Wi-Fi. Like, if you want to have an upset person, mess up the Wi-Fi. That's literally all you have to do. I have received messages from guests that have said, and I quote, hot water doesn't work, but we have Wi-Fi, so we're okay. Makes no sense to me. I'm like, okay, we'll fix the water. You know, that's literally the message. You gotta have Wi-Fi. That's number one. Number two, when I'm traveling with my family, because me and my wife, we have 4 kids, we're a family traveling with small children. How many of you have ever traveled with small children? Let me rephrase. How many of you have ever traveled with the equipment small children require? Right? It's not fun. Right? So what would happen? What do you think would happen if I was thinking, if mom is flipping through the photos, and as she's flipping through the photos, she sees one that just has a photo of a stroller, a pack and play, and a high chair already sitting there. She's like, we're staying here, honey. Price doesn't matter at that point. And when he brings up the objection, but that one's more expensive. Do you want to carry the stroller? Oh, we're staying there, honey. Make sense? And number 3, and this one I learned about, because I did not know, and I mentioned it earlier, it's medical. We tend to try to geolocate anywhere with less than a 2 mile radius or less near a major clinic, clinician, or hospital. We have a number of high-level individuals out here in Orange County, LA, Long Beach, etc., where their patients literally fly in, right? And what's cool is that the medical traveler by default is almost always traveling with someone else. And that someone else probably still needs to work. And it really doesn't work for a hotel. Because the one expense most people forget about is that if you go to a hotel, you are automatically agreeing to eat out every night, every meal. and you forget about that expense. But it's a real number. And when you're traveling medically, you're very cost sensitive, but at the same time, you like the fact that you can control your diet. And that's because that's usually part of the problem when you're actually traveling on medical. And that tends to happen a lot. And we have, I mean, I'll just be, it's LA. There's a lot of people who have plastic surgery. They don't want to be seen by their friends. So they come and hang out and hide. Because their friends don't know where they are. And it works, at the end of the day. So all of these medical, I love medical because they stay longer. They're usually absolutely no problem unless you don't have like an elevator in your multiple storage, so just disclose that up front. But for the most part, our medical people are awesome. Yes?
I have a quick question regarding the insurance.
Regarding the insurance, yes ma'am.
He owns the property.
He who? Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill owns the property, got it.
If Bill owns the property, you're a renter.
I'm the tenant.
You're the tenant.
Yeah.
Are you paying renter's insurance and does that cover all of your short-term?
Got it. It's not renter's insurance, but there's a special insurance for short-term rental businesses that is underwritten by very reputable A-rated companies like he was wanting, with all the coverages that he would need, including loss of rents, so that if something like that happens, he's covered. Does that make sense?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then I'm missing.
Okay. He owns the property.
Yep.
So the structure is his.
Yes.
Okay. If you're a renter, the only thing you can get is renter's policy, or is there a different type of policy
Yes.
that you can get?
There's a different type of policy. It's called short-term rental insurance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know it existed.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know it existed either, but I needed to know it existed if I was going to do this. That I'm with you. Yes.
How long does it take you to build this point?
Well, that's the part that shocked me. She said, how long has it taken me to build it up? In the first 6 months, we got to 19 units, and I freaked out because I'm like, that was too quick. It's supposed to take longer. And then I had to analyze, why did that happen so quickly? What's different? What do I need to document so that other people can do the same thing? A better question is, Lorena, you said how many units do you have now? You have 10, and how many months have it been? 12 months. 10 units, 12 months. Carol, how long has it been?
1 year.
1 year, 5 units. We're going to exclude her. My point is, it truly depends, and it varies from person to person. How good is your system is really the answer. How good are you at following the system? That's really the answer to how quickly you can move. Because if you have a great underlying structure, you can make all the right things happen. Does that make sense? Yes, Joseph.
Two-part question.
Two-part question.
How do you market to your target clients, and then can you use other sites besides Airbnb?
Yes, got it. So he said, how do I market to my targeted client? I was trying to pull that up, but it didn't work. And do I use sites other than Airbnb? I identified approximately 30 other sites other than Airbnb. But and this is why you have a short-term rental business, not an Airbnb business. All those sites are just marketing or acquisition channels. They're nothing else. It's no different than if I put an ad on the radio. The radio is how you're acquiring your customer. That's how I look at it, because that's literally how it works. All right? So let's just keep that in mind. Second, you market with photos. But let me be very, very clear. How many of you are familiar with this really, really old piece of technology called the Yellow Pages? You've seen that before? It's been a while, right? You're like, what? That's not Google? No. And you do the same thing that I learned when I used to sell Yellow Page ads a long time ago, which sounds crazy, right? But let me give you the example. Let's pretend it's Saturday night, 11 p.m., Joseph. Saturday night, 11 p.m., your toilet starts to overflow, your bathroom starts to flood, and you need a plumber. You turn to the Yellow Pages and you see 2 ads. Now, in reality, both plumbers are open at 11 p.m. on Saturday night. One ad says open 24 hours. The other ad does not. Who do you call first? The one that says open 24 hours. Because they were smart enough to talk to you in their ad. And that's what we do, and that's what we teach people how to do with photos. how to tell the story of the exact person you want to attract. Remember when I said when mom is flipping through the photos and she stops and sees a stroller, pack and play, high chair? Do you know how infrequently she saw that? Yeah, that's what I know. When the business traveler is going through, you know the number one thing they're thinking about is, man, I hate hotel Wi-Fi. So a very simple thing is to take a screenshot of speedtest.net or whatever speed internet you have and put it there as a photo. And when they stop and see that number, because I can write fast Wi-Fi all day long. But if I show you a picture, you stop. And you're like, oh, this is the place. Because we get the message. Because we asked them, why did you choose us? Oh, I had to try your fast Wi-Fi. Absolutely. Absolutely you did. And that's all I'm doing. I market to the person that I want. So what does that also mean? That means, are there properties that we have that have a pool? Yes. Are there pictures? Not if I don't want that person. Does that make sense? I'm okay with there being a pool. I don't have to tell them there's a pool. They get there and they find out, oh my God, you have a pool. Great. It's better than I told you. But I don't have to attract that person. Does that make sense? Yes, Ernest. And then,
Sir, do you or any of your students have any challenges keeping your units occupied?
Got it. Yeah, do we have any challenges keeping the units occupied every day? Remember I said there were 2 locations where I said there were probably challenges? One was Tucson, Arizona during the summer, because it's hot. And then the other was Minot, North Dakota, because it's really cold. Period. Now, that first year of business, you have to think like a business owner. You are collecting names and building your customer database. Because if they came to your location once, are they likely to come back? Possibly. But you got to learn how to market to them again. Because some of you have all received that, hey, Vegas is having a special free room, come on down, right? Because you stayed with them before. You have to think like a business owner and get your customer acquisition channels going. And as you begin to build your database, you end up with so many people and so much repeat business that it becomes a non-issue really quickly. You end up going, I need more units. Yeah, I know. That's like, happens a lot. Yes, and then I'll come over here. Travis.
I may have missed this.
No problem.
But is the whole thing you're teaching, is this all based on subleasing, or are you also talking about owning as well?
Got it. Some of our students do choose to own. The only difference is the upfront cost. At the end of the day, the only difference is the upfront cost.
So you're teaching one way or the other.
I don't really care. I prefer, for most people, the easiest way to get started is doing the lease. It's the least amount of capital up front. Gives you a higher ROI, way faster, and you're able to move forward. Some people who already own a property, they just converted them, and others went and bought a property. I had one student down in San Diego. Now, he bought a mixed-use commercial building, retail first floor, apartment second floor. I think he put a restaurant on top. I was like, dude, you're awesome. You know?
Sounds like the leasing is all about learning how to negotiate with the landlords and then learning the systems, and you guys have to work together.
Right. You got it 100%. That's exactly it. Because once you've learned how to run the system, you can buy any building and turn it into what you need it to be to make it cash flow. That's what got me excited. I was like, cool, this can work up to like our $10 and $20 million buildings, and I can cash flow them. Amazing. Let's do it. And that's basically, at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. But not everybody has the capacity to start with a $20 million asset, or even a $2 million asset, or even a $500,000 asset. How do they get in? That's why I said, given everything that I've done, knowing what I know today, this is where I would start, because it's the fastest way I've ever seen for someone to begin to get the type of income and cash flow that they need to actually start saving down payments. That's the ultimate strategy here, is you leverage short-term rentals to build a stack of cash to buy more property. Because is there a CPA in the room other than that? Because here's the challenge. You're going to end up with a tax problem. Because it makes so much extra cash flow, you're going to end up with a tax problem. And unless you start buying more real estate. So that's the thing you've got to really understand, is that this extra cash, you need to save it to buy more real estate and do it again. And just keep cycling it over and building your portfolio that way. It's a great way to build wealth. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
That's what's really awesome about it, is the tax benefits associated with this. Like, if you're buying all this furniture, all that's like 5-year property. You're front loading all the depreciation in the first 5 years. You get that tax deduction, plus, you know, you put anything else into the property. Some of those things you can write off right now, you know, and I mean, it's pretty interesting. Like, and now all of a sudden, you know, you didn't hear this from me, but all of a sudden your toilet paper is deductible now.
Yeah, oh man, don't get me started on toilet paper and supplies. I have not figured out what my guests do with toilet paper. There's no such thing as giving them enough. I do not understand it. Don't ask. I have no clue. Yes?
Question for your students.
Oh, for the students, this is good. Yes?
How long did it take them to get their first property? How easy was it?
Got it. How long did it take you to get your first one?
Like the action.
A week?
How long?
How long? A week? 2 weeks?
Yeah, just to start to
Okay.
take action, and the more you do, the more you get.
That's very true. Carol, how long did it take you? Because I don't remember.
I think I signed my first lease within the first 3 weeks of the master plan.
First 3 weeks. I've had people go as quickly as 3 days. There have been times, because this is what I learned from the students. I was conditioned, because I had been a real estate trainer guy, that it was going to take them a long time. Because that's what happens in real estate a lot. And then what happened is I had a student do it in a weekend. And I'm like, hold on, what? And not only did she do it in a weekend, she's like, yeah, and I got 3 of them. I'm like, what? I didn't know it could go that quickly. I had no clue. And I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Wow, is that for real? I mean, it's been a lot of that. I've been learning a lot from them about how fast they can go. And because when you were put in the right situation, you can make it happen. Robert, how long did it take you?
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks.
The thing that I want to point out in addition to that is obviously you would be doing this to generate revenue. And we have our system down now where once we take keys, we can have people in that unit within 3 days.
Yeah.
Generating revenue within 3 days.
Yeah, you got to understand. It's insanely quick once you get your processes in place. You can go really, really, really fast. I mean, there have been times like, and I kid you not, if you were to put a listing up right now, what time is it?
9:06.
9. I would be willing to put money down that before you woke up in the morning, you'd have not one but at least 2 reservations. Really, that fast. That's the stuff. There are times where I'll post either in our Facebook group or I'll have an internal bet with my wife. Let's see how long this one takes. And whoever wins gets to choose where dinner goes. You know, that type of, it's just like, it's just fast. Yes, Bill.
How often are you visiting the properties?
How often are you visiting the properties that you have? I do my best to not go. Why? Because I've built a system. Now.
So will this system work on properties that are out of state?
Yes, the answer is yes. The system has been proven to work. We had one student that started, he lived in Alaska, then he moved to Texas, and he still has a unit in Alaska. Like, okay, great, this is awesome. But here's the thing that I want to highlight. There are a number of individuals that it takes to run the system. You can't do everything, especially once you scale. You can only use labor where it makes sense. For example, there are times when stuff breaks. Maybe it's a sliding glass door that breaks, or that couch, what's it called, the sofa bed, doesn't fold up properly. And someone has to physically go there to do that. You know what I call that? Job creation. That's what it is. Because of this idea, and if you have enough units, you end up creating a job for someone, right? And maybe because you have so much toilet paper and soap, and you want to talk about a job, who wants to do my linens? Oh my God. You know how many sheets? Pillowcases? Oh. It's to the point where I'm researching how to buy a laundromat. No joke. Because it's kind of that, it's just, we do a lot of laundry. All right? But someone has to pick that laundry up and do some, and that becomes job creation. And if they put a system together, they can end up building a business around it. How many of you think it would be interesting to be able to meet someone who is willing to build a business around serving your business that way? How many of you think that would be really, really cool to meet someone like that? Jim, do me a favor, stand up. This is Jim. Right here. I have been here this time, and I told you, today's been a day. Most days, I don't have much to do. Today, it seemed like everything wanted to fall apart. Jim would have been here on time, except everything decided to fall apart today, including the sofa bed and the sliding glass door. That was not made up. That's exactly what happened. And Jim was out there interfacing with the customers to make sure that their experience at the property, and Arnell property, in case you were wondering, actually went well. And now he's here. And that's the role his business plays. He helps Robert with that, he helps me with that, because I can't be everywhere. And you need help in that way. And you get to create so many jobs. What's that?
I said, nor do you want to.
No, I don't want to. Because here's the deal. Here's the truth of the matter. My oldest daughter is 21, and she said it best. She's like, Dad, you don't people well. And she's right. I don't people well. I find it highly ironic that I am in a hospitality business, by the way. But I don't people well. Yes?
I don't know if everyone in this room has any deal, I mean, a lot of deals.
Sure.
Any deal at all? For
Yeah.
myself. I'm a new investor.
Yes.
And I don't have any deal going on right now.
Yes. Got it. So when it comes to, you want to know how you can start, how you can start off. Here's it. I'm going to give you the steps. You want to write them down? Because you could do them tomorrow and really be in business by Saturday. I've seen it happen. It's very simple. Answer the question, who do you want to serve? That's the, and I know it sounds crazy, but follow me here. Because when you know that you want to serve the business traveler, you give that person a name. Let's call her Sally. And that Sally likes to travel, or travels for work. That begins to tell you a number of things. Number one, location. Because one of the questions you have is what area of town? You want to be near where the person wants to go. So where are the business districts in what city? I don't care the city. Just tell me what city. Okay. Where are the business districts in LA? Where are the business districts in Long Beach? So you want to look for properties near that business district. So you literally go on Google Maps. That's step number 2. You go Long Beach, and then you look, where are the business districts? And you draw a circle. Then you get in your car, and you go to that area. Then you get out your car. This is the most important step, because you've been here so long, you're blind to actually what's going on. You need to get out the car and walk. Literally walk, looking for rent signs. And when you see the for rent sign, step number 3, what do? Call it. And then you say the following words. Hi, my name is Jay. My company and I are looking to lease a number of properties in the area, and we were wondering if you're the right person to talk to about that. That's what you do. Over and over and over again. There is no better way. I promise. You can try to filter online, apartments.com, then get in the car, drive. Get out the car, walk. It works. It's the easiest thing I know. Yeah?
So now I find the property, where do I get the money?
Where do you get, got it.
If
So,
I don't have any money.
yeah, if you don't have any money, first of all, let's talk about you don't need a lot of money. So now you have to raise the capital, right? But now you're asking for significantly less capital than what you may have been asking for when it comes to a down payment on a house. And here's why this is really, really, really important. Where's he at? Lamont said he was able, all-in cost was 10 grand. That's including first and last month. Is 10 grand a low enough number that someone you know might actually have that on a credit card? It's a very low number. You're going to begin to learn to leverage the resources of other people. But now you're not asking anywhere near as much of a risk as you were before. In this situation, this is where what Bill was talking about is probably going to come into play, where that person who says, hey, I want a piece of the action, I want a piece of the pie. Okay, cool, fine. Then you guys negotiate a structure, a financial structure that works. Does that make sense? And because you're asking for so little, and we live in California, you have a really wide pool of people to choose from the beginning. And that's how many of our students who had no capital, that's exactly what they did. They went and asked for people who had a credit card, because it doesn't cost that much to get started. Yes?
But you're trying to furnish it, get security system.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I wouldn't dare tell you, I never tell people as low as 10 grand. That doesn't mean you can't do it for 10 grand. I tend to tell people your budget should be $25 per square foot. I am being very conservative. We can do them for much less than that. But when someone is first getting started, I always tell them $25 per square foot. And I say it that way because some people want to do a house. Okay, some people want to do a 1-bedroom. Some want to do a 2-bedroom. They're all different square footage. $25 per square foot. That'll get her done no matter what. You can make a lot of mistakes and still get it done. Okay, at that number. It shouldn't cost you that, but if it did, you're fine. Does that make sense? Okay? Yes? No problem, I'll come here.
So it sounds like you're saying it's at least $1,000 a month for your
Net.
Net. So I guess you're not worried about vacancies or anything like that.
I haven't been worried about vacancy in a long time. Why? Here, have you looked up recently? That sun? That very thing that keeps so many people on the freeway is the very thing that keeps so many people coming. We definitely don't have a population problem. People want to be here. And we just happen to be in a year-round market. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't seasonality to the pricing. There are times, yeah, where it's still lower. Like right now, we're entering into the months where you might literally hit 60% net profit on a month. Like, which is nuts. But it's fun. Okay. But there will be other months where it's only 20%. And it'll vary, but it's still profit. Does that make sense? So it still varies. Now, it's not like some other places where you have to price in for seasonality, a little bit more difficult. Like we have some people in Canada, they really got to price appropriately during their high season to make it through their low season. But that's just part of their business, and they know that. Does that make sense? So yeah, no, I'm not concerned about vacancy at all. Yes. Oh, no, hold on. I promised her, then I can come to you. Okay, hold on. I promised her, and then I'll come to you. Yes.
So in any given month,
Yes.
how many days of vacancies do you have?
For one unit, you mean?
For 1 unit.
Got it. She said, in any given month, how many days of vacancy do I have? I would go, if I'm going to be conservative, I'll say 6. But that's hyper conservative. That's very conservative.
So basically every day other than the days that you're cleaning and stuff.
No, if you have your systems right, you don't even need time between the cleaning. So we have departure time at 11, new arrival by 4 in the same day. But you got to have a tight system to make that happen. If you don't have a tight system, yeah, you're going to end up losing a day. And I don't want to do that at all, ever. Not even once, because that's money, right? And yes?
Okay, because of no reservation, recently Igna didn't receive any reservation, and I checked it.
Say it again?
Igna did not.
Oh, Igna. Oh, got it. Yes.
So I checked it on Airbnb. And
Yes.
the property, the listing did not come up. I
Got
think it was a technical issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is probably my biggest frustration.
Yeah.
Because where you're talking, someone was talking about occupancy, if you're having an issue with occupancy, there's probably a technical issue somewhere. And there have been times where you can't find your property or your property is literally not showing up.
Yeah.
And that is a problem, okay? And you've got to get on the phone, tech support, and figure it out. That's usually what it comes down to. Because sometimes that happens. Okay, 1, 2, and I think Matt is getting closer and closer, and I'm feeling his breath. So, yes?
They're listed on multiple sites.
Yes.
How do you make sure that you don't...
Double book?
Double book.
Yeah. He's like, if you're listed on multiple sites, how do you make sure you double book? The simple answer is technology, sir. There are many different platforms that do it. We have a number we recommend for that very purpose because that's the only way to manage it. Most people, again, when you're these are the things that I'm talking about because we'll get reservations from individuals who say, my last host canceled on me at the last minute, which is code for they double booked themselves, didn't realize it until it was too late, and now we're getting the reservation because they didn't have the professional system to manage a calendar. And they didn't know it. And it's frustrating for the guests, it's frustrating for us because it puts us under a lot of pressure as well, and I wish they just did it right from the beginning. There was one more person somewhere? Yes?
How are you finding these service people to be able to turn a room that quickly?
Got it. How do I find these service people to be able to turn a room that quickly? Here's a simple website to get started, because you will kiss many frogs before you find your prince or princess, like a lot. It's handy.com. It's one of the first places we started. However, I will tell you this. You will find your cleaners by referral, period. And you get to audition them. So this is actually kind of the fun part, because you get to, I'm literally telling you, go hire a bunch of cleaners to come clean your house. and actually let them clean it over and over and over again and evaluate their service based upon that. Because it takes time to find the right cleaners and service providers. That is not an overnight thing at all. But I hear you. But handy.com is how we first started, and we were able to cycle them through really, really quickly. Last question, and then Matt has got the cane. I can see it.
So some areas in Los Angeles, for example,
Yes.
have very little, if any, visitors.
Yes.
Explain why.
Why? Okay, she's like, I like the way she asks questions. Like, tell me this now. So she said some areas have very little listings. One, they may not have just any vacancy. They just may not, because it is LA. This happened when we went to Costa Mesa. Where we were looking, there was nobody. And we were like, is that good or is that bad? And then I just did more research to realize, no, it's good. They just haven't gotten here yet. Because, see, this conversation that we're having, we're talking about a new type of entrepreneur that isn't commonplace. It isn't even common practice. That's why Bill's clients still are like, no, I'll just do it the old way. And that's fine. That's why your clients are still saying, I'll just do it the old way. Because we're a new unicorn that they don't understand yet. And that's okay. Just go in knowing that. Therefore, you will find pockets where, like, this would be great. Why is nobody here? Because nobody's here. No one has taken the message and told them that here's what you can do and here's how to do it and this thing exists, etc., etc. That's why. There is nothing else I have to say other than that. Because I've seen it work in so many different places. It just, I don't know there is no other answer in my mind.
Is there any regulations of local minus?
Got it. In certain places like, was it West Hollywood? Don't bother. Santa Monica? Don't bother. Where else in LA, Rebecca? There's one more I'm trying to think of. I know those are the first two, but those two just don't bother. Which one? Redondo, yes, thank you. Yes, don't bother. So, what's that? No. I said Redondo. I'm being very specific for very specific reasons. Because like Anaheim, right? Don't bother right now. Don't bother. But Brea is right next door. You know? That's what I'm trying to say to you. So, yeah, I'm being very specific in that regard. So it's really important that you understand that. Cool? I appreciate you guys giving me your time and attention.
I got one more question for you. Have you ever had to clean a house yourself, and why?
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So let's be clear. I am not your cleaner. So if you want to have some really cool, fun after talk, ask all the students for their stories. We got them. Because we deal with people. And people do crazy stuff that you would never believe. Yes, that too. Okay? So what happened in this particular case, while we didn't... yes, where's Bill? Oh, he disappeared. Oh, well. All right. Oh, there he is. All right, so this is the very thing your person is concerned about, but we totally crushed it and handled it. They passed our security screening initially because they stole someone else's ID. That was the first issue. We figured it out because their phone number on a reverse lookup did not match the name. So just understand, we go deep. We're looking for this stuff because I want to know. And long story short, what ended up happening is it's a 2-bedroom, and we had 3 Apple TVs, and they decided to take 2 of them. So they left one, which I thought was interesting. And they destroyed some of the linens, and for whatever reason, we have this blue wagon. It's like a grocery wagon you've seen, but it's collapsible and they fold. And he used the wagon to steal the stuff, and he took my decorative pillows, but I'm still upset about the wagon. And what happened is that this was before we learned about having additional backup linen external to the units, because before we used to have our storage facilities inside each unit. Don't do this. We now have them external, and what happened is that all of our clean linen was in one of the other units that was already occupied. So now I had to get a crash course at Target on what is a duvet and what's the duvet cover and what do I need. And fortunately, if I remember correctly, Robert was there helping me because I didn't know how to do it. You don't understand. I'm like doing this and I don't know how to do it. And then my wife, actually no, confusing. That was a different time. My wife was actually on crutches that day. We spent most of the day arguing because she knew how to do it, but she's on crutches. She's mad at me because I don't know how to do it. And we're having this conversation because it needs to be clean because they're coming at 4 o'clock. And it's 2. And I'm like, but I got to run to Target, buy some Apple TVs, get the internet going again because I got to do all this other stuff. And I need you to do this. She's like, I'm on crutches. I know, I love you, but bye. It was not a pleasant Saturday. We have learned since then. We have documented better processes so that if/when that happens, we fix it. We know exactly what to do so that we don't experience that kind of downtime. Now, with that being said, can I tell one more? Because the next one is really awesome. Because with that being said, I want you to know on that first incident, they only still had to wait 30 minutes. So understand, we got it done, which was amazing because we didn't think we were going to be able to get it done. But there was this other Saturday. See, my wife and I on Saturday morning, sometimes we'll say, hey, what are you going to do today? We'll say things like, absolutely nothing, I'm just going to rest. But we have learned to not say this anymore. The second time we tried to say this, and I kid you not, here's what happened. The guest sends us a message and says, there are bugs everywhere. Now, you will learn over time that people misuse the English language all the time and they tend to exaggerate. And at this moment, when they go, there are bugs everywhere, I go, they're not everywhere. Mind you, I haven't seen it, I don't know. But in my head, they're not everywhere. They can't be everywhere. If they were everywhere, whatever. They're not everywhere, it's not that big of a deal, blah, 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 blah. But, it's a Saturday, whatever, let's go. And I tell my wife, and they keep sending us messages, which is abnormal. And I'm like, hold on, they're sending another message. They send another message. They're not sending photos, but they're sending messages. And I'm like, something is really wrong. And then, remember, I know I don't people well. So I was like, honey, I need you to go with me. She's like, why? I'm like, I need you to talk to them so that I don't make it worse. While I figure out what needs to be done. So long story short, we drive down, we get there, and it is the grossest thing I have ever seen. Termites swarmed during the night. There was literally a black sheet of termites on the curtain, on the bed. It was her wedding night, the night before her wedding, and she woke up with them on her. Oh my God. It was 100% gross. I went from, it can't be that bad to, it was the worst. When I realized what happened, I went to my wife, I was like, look, I'm going to just need you to occupy them. And now, here's the part I got excited about, guys. This is what I mean by having the system. Saturday at 11:30. Is anyone pre-prepared for this? No. But at 11:30, I am on the phone. By 2:30, we have replaced the linens. We have cleaned the entire house. We have had the termite inspector come give us an estimate and a schedule for when he can come back. And we are done, clean, and out of there. It was the best thing ever. Now, it was still her wedding night, and that was a problem. And we dealt with that, obviously, refunds, blah, 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 because that was a bad experience. But recovering, Lord, that was one of the days I realized, I was like, oh my God, we really have a good system. How on earth do you take that and respond and have it clean in 3 hours? That does not happen until it did. And I was like, oh wow, we really got something here. But that's the thing you gotta understand. Stuff is gonna happen. Lockouts. Jim, poor Jim, has been there. The longest lockout on record right now is 6 hours. Awesome. Not fun. And he was there. And he helped me with it. But you got to understand, this stuff happens. You just got to have better systems to deal with. So, we got, like I said, talk to the students. We got tons of stories. It's fun. I love the business. Ask me any questions you like. Thank you.
Jay's course, I actually had a booking move out on a holiday and had to try to clean it ourselves because nobody could get in there on a holiday and we didn't realize it. So it was lots of fun. You learn a lot. But thank you guys very much for coming today. Please feel free to network. Don't forget about our holiday party on June 6th. You can go to meetup.com and find us there. We have our FIBI South Bay, as well as the next one coming up this month on flipping. And then feel free to check out meetup.com and see Christina's group as well in Pasadena if you guys are up there. Thank you guys very much. Have a great time networking.